One, 2, 3. We're going live. This one's Facebook. This one's TikTok. So everybody's gonna start, like getting stuff. This one's probably gonna pop more than this one, but we'll see. We'll see. Welcome, ladies, to an episode of Savoring Life. I changed it, by the way. It's not gonna be There She Goes anymore.
Okay.
I gotta get my shit together. Everybody, this is Flaca and Flaca.
Hola.
Right? Just like hola. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I've been wanting to do an episode like this for so long, talking about infidelity. I know it's a very taboo subject and a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it today.
We are.
Because we could do that. Okay.
We are.
So I'll start it off, right? Because I know we try to like eat some chips and stuff. So if y'all hear some crunching, okay, you guys, don't mind us. The crunching is some salsa fresca.
Stress eating. No.
Oh my God, especially with this damn topic. Definitely. So I experienced infidelity many moons ago in a relationship, and the effects that it had on me going forward till today is just like words can't even describe, right? Not all women experience it, not all men experience it, but I think it's something important to talk about because it really affects like our souls, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Our way of thinking, like how we look at ourselves. The biggest thing being our self-esteem, right? For example, I was always somebody that, wasn't very conceited, but I always considered myself good-looking,
Confident,
right? And pretty much a bad bitch, right?
All right.
And when I was cheated on, that changed. That whole scenario changed. I no longer thought that I was the baddest bitch. I didn't think that I was this confident woman anymore. I was all about, well, what's wrong with me? Why did this happen, right? So that's like a huge thing that goes on a lot with women that experience this, or I don't want to say just women because just everybody, right? Men, women, the LGBTQ. I joke about all the time the LGBTQ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 community, right?
Everybody.
There's so many things they added to it,
keep up.
right? So I was having a conversation the other day with somebody, right? And it hit me, and I realized that that person was going through some of the similarities that I went through way back when. And they're very subtle things that you wouldn't think. You know what I'm saying? It's very subtle things. Like I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, I want to look pretty today, or I'm gonna do my hair today, or I need to go get my nails done today. Things that I would normally do on a regular, but for some reason they stand it out more now that I was feeling like this person that wasn't good enough, or
you had to go the extra mile.
I had to
because what you were doing
do it
before
extra.
wasn't good enough.
Exactly,
right.
Or so I thought,
right.
Which was totally not the case. Thinking about it now, obviously I know better. It's been many years.
It messes with your mental for sure.
It does. It really does. Boy, it did it. So Flaca 1, right? We're gonna do Flaca 1, Flaca 2, right? Because they don't want to say their real names, guys, right?
No.
You can say mine.
Sharon, I've known for a very long time.
Yes.
Flaca, you and I just recently met, right? So we already like buddies. I love you to death. Everybody that knows me knows I'm very not. I don't want to say selective. I'm very
Small
appreciative.
circle, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I have a pretty big circle, but I'm very appreciative about my women relationships, right?
Yes.
Like I love women. I love women friendships. I just love having them in my life. I grew up around a family of lots of very strong women. So I kind of have mimicked that throughout my life with friendships, right? I try to align myself with strong women because it just makes me feel good, and
No drama.
there's no drama, and I just love it, right?
They
There's been a few.
Great.
Exactly. There's been a few that have come around, along my life that haven't been like the best, but they got weeded out, right?
You learn as you go, right?
Exactly. We learn to weed those women out, right? So I'm happy that we met. And Jennifer, I'm sorry that she couldn't be here. She's a little sick today.
Yeah, feel better.
Hey, Jen, girl, we miss you today. But Sharon met me. I've known Sharon for a very long time, but she was around me very specifically around that time that was happening to me. So she can attest to even how like I looked, right? Cut my hair.
Yeah.
I was
You
like
go through
this
a
thin.
phase.
I was a hot mess. You know what I'm saying?
It's a recovery phase. You gotta go through those steps.
What do you remember about that time? A little bit. Like from knowing me before that, and then during that, and then till now. Like we could.
I'm gonna say probably the most thing was you were still trying to be like happy. You're still trying to get yourself there, right? Like be that happy go person, but it's hard, right? Because it's kind of fake in the beginning.
Exactly.
You were like trying to go through life, but you still got a front when you were in that pain,
Yeah.
that moment. But you're a hustler, so it's just like everything we get through it. We're women,
Yeah.
right? You got no choice. You got to get through it. Most women, you got to stand up and keep going anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and keep going with life. But I think until you realize probably it was just part of your experience that you
Yeah.
had to go through. And then once it clicked, you were good to go.
It clicked, yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that I didn't see it coming, you know, back then. Like,
I don't think anybody does.
No.
No,
Some
this-
people, you know, like the relationship, they might already
Yes.
have like some clues or like they were having some issues or whatever. But for me, like
Mhm.
my side of the story, because I
Yeah.
can't speak for the other party, right? You know, when I speak, I try to speak only like for myself.
Right.
From my experience, I didn't see it coming. Like I thought everything was hunky fucking dory. You know
It
what I'm
looked
saying?
it, though.
Like,
It looked it. I don't even
you know
wanna
what I'm
front.
saying?
It looked
Like,
it too, because from the outside.
From the outside,
it looks
yeah.
Like, here we go. When's
Yeah.
the wedding date?
Exactly.
You know, let's go.
Exactly. And then what's crazy too is that now, well, not now, but like already like a few years ago when I started realizing like things back then, I saw things that I said to myself, oh,
You just didn't
okay.
see it then.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is another crazy like thing that people don't realize is that there are signs. There's always signs. You just don't
I think
when
you're
you're
in
in
the hustle
love
of life and
mhm, you
just
don't
keep
see
going.
them.
Yep.
But then looking back at them like, oh, okay. Also, you know what I'm saying?
That's why you
Yeah.
wear overtime all the time. No.
Why was I working so much? Why didn't I want to come home? Like what? What about you, Flaka? Any insight on infidelity, like personally or somebody very close? You don't have to, you know.
No, I definitely agree that it plays a big part on the mental, the physical. Yes, I have been through it in my lifetime, and I could say physically I felt so sick when I found out that it happened. Like I had the flu, right?
Yes.
Like, I
the
couldn't get out
sick.
of bed. My stomach hurt. I didn't want to eat. I just was so hurt because I
Yes.
didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look back at it, one of the signs was you could see in the movies, they always show like the person is like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, and this, that, and the other thing, and they're putting the other person down.
Oh yeah.
But this was opposite. It was, hey, honey, how are you doing?
Oh.
I mean, going above and beyond.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, what's this? This is a nice change. But I think that person was getting happiness that was lacking in our
Mhm.
relationship,
Yeah.
but there was no communication, right? So unless you have communication and you start saying like, I'm feeling this way,
Mhm.
what can we do about it? If you're not vested, you're not going to have those communications, right?
Yeah.
So instead you kind of just sneak off to the
Yeah, creep
side,
off to the
and
side,
it
yeah.
just spirals out from there.
That's
But-
huge. That's that thing that you just said about that usually they're like putting you down and stuff like that. That was one of the signs that I didn't see back then. Was like every little thing would bother the person. You know, like
He's
even
annoyed.
just me walking by would be like, and I'm like, damn, what the hell is wrong with you? Like I just walked in here, and like already, like you're upset with me. Like what the fuck did I do? You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that. Like the way I wore my hair, it would be like a look from the side, and I'm like, oh, looking at it now, or you know, back then I'm like, they were really like over me. You know what I mean? And they didn't know how to like, but that affected me because I literally would be like, what the hell? Did I gotta have a booger in my nose? Like,
Right.
what did I snore really horrible last night when we slept together? Like all those things because they start to be so annoyed because why? Because they're already in a relationship. They're with this person
Mhm.
and they are not knowing how to disconnect. You know, it's like they're living a double life because when somebody cheats, that's like a really big thing, and they decide they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, as I call it, right?
Yeah.
They
We're
don't
testing
know.
the water
They're testing
because
the water, yeah.
they're seeing what the new thing is about,
Mhm.
but they're also saying, well, what about the old thing? That's where that like 80-20 comes in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody talks about the 80-20
The
rule.
80-20, yeah.
Is the new the 80 or the 20? Should I try to salvage what I have with my old?
Mhm.
There's all these things I think going on
Yeah.
in that moment. But
It's
again,
so true.
the victim is not aware of that. They're
No.
just going on plugging around with life where, like I said, I had the opposite of what you had. And I was like,
Mhm.
damn, I'm being put up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Everything is good. I'm getting praised.
You
But,
had the total opposite.
but it was
right?
almost like that was happening so I wouldn't find out. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
baby.
like trying to hide it.
Yeah.
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 That's crazy, you
Yeah.
know, and a lot of, and you
That's
don't
the
realize it
opposite.
while it's
No.
happening. That's like the
No.
crazy thing is you do not realize it during the actual like scenario when it's happening. I mean, I was at a complete loss, like at a total loss. Like, what in the world is going on? Like,
Mhm.
I was, you know, because it happened to me twice, right, in my life. Both were very like traumatic, but I think the first one for me was like the ultimate traumatic because the other one I saw coming, you know, because I already had been through something, so I kind of saw some red flags already. But for the first one, it was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, when you read like novels and you see stories and stuff like that, like you know the things that they show you on TV, like when somebody cheats, like they give you like this couple, right? You know, they've been married for I don't know how long, and then they're in therapy, and the guy's like, I'm never gonna see her again, you know, like it's happened one time, right? And the wife is like, da da da. For me, it wasn't like that, you know. For me, I was it was very much in my face, you know, because the person had moved up to the same neighborhood that I was living, so I would walk out of my house and see them together, you know what I'm saying? So it was like very traumatic. You know what I mean? And it's like people, you know, when I think about it, I'm like, how the hell did I even like?
That's what I'm saying. I would have
go.
been.
How
done.
am I still even here? Because I was a fucking hot mess, you know, like.
Were you still feeling for that person?
Oh, I was so in love
So
still.
they-
I was
right,
so in
I
love,
was
or so
gonna
I
say,
thought. You know what
right,
I
I
mean?
was
And that's the
say,
thing.
so
Is
you-
it love?
I love them more than I
or
love
is it
myself.
obsession?
Yeah, I was obsessed. Yeah, pretty much because that's not real love, right?
Right.
How can you possibly love somebody that's treating you like this, right?
Right,
yeah.
There's no way that's not the definition of real love.
Right.
So yeah, you absolutely can call it an obsession because
when you
just
love
like-
somebody, right?
yeah.
If you look at the definition of love, it's, you know, commitment, truth, and when you're obsessed, I think it's not so much that, it's more the physical persona or what you can give that person, whether it's just hanging out or maybe it's material things, I don't know,
Mhm.
which could cause obsession.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
and comfortability.
Mhm.
You know, you're used to it. You're used to it. You're used to them. The fear of like, how is it gonna be somewhere else? Because that was like another huge thing for me. It was like, I don't want to start all over again. I was with this person for I don't know how many years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, how do you start? You know, and especially with the confidence and the, the self-esteem. I'm like, I don't. You know, and people don't like to say it, but like, I gotta be naked in front of a whole new person. Like, what if you're somebody that's not that comfortable with your body? What if like one boob is, to the left and one to the right? What if you have a crooked toe? You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things are like really, not talked about. Like, this is so. For me, it was like a breakthrough. When I figured it out years later. Like, oh my god, all that stuff that I put myself through.
It's everything, because you know why? I remember when you're in a relationship for so long, you're not yourself, right? You're associated to that person.
Yeah.
So every time you see everybody, everybody's like, hey, how?
Yeah. Every time they see you, they're asking about them, or they see them, they're asking about you because you're a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's separation.
Hard to have to see so many people be like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was a really big thing for me too, because a lot of people knew us, together.
Right.
So that was hard. Yeah, that's very important too, especially with like bigger families, or when children are involved. Luckily for me, that wasn't the case, so I didn't have that whole other baggage.
Right,
All we have was a dog. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you had a fur baby.
We had a fur baby, So may you rest in peace, my baby. But that was, back then that wasn't that. I'm sure it's a big deal as when people have children.
And then it's funny because you can see the person 20 years later and it's like you never had anything.
I
It's
know.
Like, all right, what's going on?
Hello.
Right?
It's like you were best friends back in the day and you've lost touch and now you're just like, hey, what's up? How's it been?
And you don't.
Yeah. No.
You're good.
It's crazy that you say that because, well, for me, we're really close friends now.
And
we weren't always like that.
Though. If you can forgive each other,
you have to
that's the
forgive.
thing. If you
and,
can't, and you're resentful,
you have to forgive
that's what
yourself.
you have to.
For all the hate that you gave yourself, because I hated myself for a long time and would look at them and be like,
You
the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But now we're great friends, thank God. It took a long time to get there, like years,
You have to heal and forgive.
a lot of like, a lot of yelling back and forth, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think sometimes to this day, I think like, that person will never really truly, get the harm, and I think that's like a defense mechanism
as that they did something wrong,
Yeah,
right? Or,
yeah.
they don't identify that.
They don't identify. They can't. They
Right.
can't possibly because they, it was me that walked those shoes. They can't.
Right. And unless you've been through that situation, you can't compare or be compassionate about it, right?
Exactly.
So unless that person had went through what you went through, how are they supposed to say, I'm so sorry I made you feel that way?
Yeah.
Because they've never felt that way
Yeah.
themselves.
They could say it, and that's good and that's great, but they can never really. A lot of the times, they can't. They can't feel it. They absolutely can't. And a lot of times too, that they don't want to feel it because if they really knew and really felt, they would not make it. That heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to somebody the other day when I told them that we were gonna have this episode, and they were like, when a relationship ends, or even if it's not just like somebody cheating, even just a breakup, it almost feels like a death. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel like it's in comparison?
Yeah, like it's a loss,
right?
Yeah,
like a loss, like when somebody dies, right?
Yeah.
Because you've experienced this whole time with this person, and it's like, oh my god, like
the sorrow is pretty much the same. They're like heartbroken.
Yeah. I think for more people when they break up, they should have like a little headstone for their relationship.
A start date and an end.
A start date and an ending, right? And do like a little headstone. We should have a cemetery just for relationships that have ended. Whether it's cheated, not cheated, put it to rest. Like, go visit it once a year or something,
Get a tattoo of it and look at it.
Right.
Do that again.
Not again. I know, for me too, I would have too many tattoos.
Yeah. That'd be too permanent.
Sometimes you need that permanent reminder though, right? Like to remind you, I don't want to do that
I'll
again.
remind you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah, no girl.
I remember.
No girl, that hairdo, that time, no. That wasn't a good look.
And it's important to have the people in your circle, like you said, you had Sharon at that time, and I've known Sharon for what, 15 years now? Yeah, 15,
Oh, wow.
16 years.
What the hell? How did I not meet you?
I know.
How did we
meet
each other?
I was busy having kids, and I didn't go out much. Like, I was pregnant 3 years in a row, so.
Oh my god.
Oh, I know, right? So our things were mostly like, dates to the winery or something like that, but it was not like now where I've just really started adulting about a year ago.
Hello, me too. That's okay.
Because my kids are a little bit older now.
That's
so,
okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. Everybody does it when they're ready to do it. I wasn't ready to do it yet. So, But she's been my sounding board. She's been my listening ear and my navigator too. Girl, you don't got to deal with that, or like giving that advice, right?
She's lucky. She's one of the lucky ones.
Yes.
There are many out there. I think the statistics sadly show that more failed relationships than there are. Like, okay, and I'm sure it hasn't been easy, keeping that. We'll talk about that on another episode.
Yes, I'm the
keeping the relationship, how long,
yes,
all the stuff that it takes to make a relationship last and not fall victim to, the bullshit.
Yes.
That, I wish I would have known you back then, because I feel like back then I didn't have a huge support system,
right.
With the women, because I really secluded myself.
I was about to say too, it's some people when they get into those relationships, they
and sometimes
change.
And I was hiding
dynamic
it too, like my mother didn't even really know, until very, very late on, like what really was going on, because
it's a lot of change.
Yeah,
you don't want to air your laundry to everybody, because not everybody is sympathetic or compassionate to what you're going through. It's more judgmental, right? Like, why are you letting that person do that, and why didn't you do this, or you didn't see that? And it shouldn't be asking you questions on why you didn't do what. It should be, I'm here for you, even just to listen, even if you don't want to hear.
I know.
I'll be like, what is wrong with you? Okay, damn right.
Yeah, I was a hot mess. I was just like, and then after I found out, right, and now everything was said and done, and the situation took, a whole nother level. Just the way, like, how do I say the word, like, kind of pathetic, I was with trying to make it work, knowing that, the person would leave, and I knew where they were going, and then they would come back days later, and it would be like, they were doing me a favor, by coming to see me, like the low that I let myself get to, the job.
I think half of it is because the comfortableness. It's something right? So comfortable to be with somebody that you've been with.
Yeah.
So it's easier.
That's what you're familiar with.
And plus, I didn't think I wasn't attractive anymore. I thought I was like, this like I was self-pity, self-esteem, the job that I was working at the time, looking back at it now, I'm like, oh my God, how did they even like deal with me because I was a freaking hot mess. Like, I was every little thing I would be like, what the fuck did you say? Like, what, you know, I was ready to pop off every second that finally they were like, girl, you gotta go. Like,
because now you're on defensive, right?
Years ago, I was on the defense all the time. That's a perfect word. I was on the defense.
Well, they say you put your walls up, so it's like now you don't want to get hurt again, so you're deflecting everything.
Exactly.
And now you're taking everything personally,
yeah.
even though it has nothing to do with you.
Exactly. Why did you change my schedule from one day to the next? I think you got something against me.
Right. Exactly.
What did I do to you? I never used to work this time. What happened?
Yeah.
Why did you want me to drop?
You just angry. Right. It's the
anger. Angry.
It was I was very defensive or I was crying. Yeah. It was either or. Like I would literally bust into tears. Like a good friend of mine, Amanda, back then. Oh my God, bless her heart.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember Amanda from. This is when I worked all the way up by Rhinebeck. You know,
yeah, I remember.
She was amazing. I had this girlfriend Amanda. You know, we talk from time to time. I haven't talked to her in a while. She's like, she married a cop and everything. She's so adorable. She went through a lot of stuff for me because oh my God, we would be in the office and like it would be like a slow day or whatever, and we'll be talking and all of a sudden I'll be like, and she'll be like, girl. I mean, like the tears, and then we'll be laughing. You know, like the bipolar, the mood swings out of control. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's funny.
You know, I don't know if they were more because you know I was a woman, or I don't know if like men experience it differently, but I'm sure.
I think women experience it totally different. We are wired differently. Our chemicals are different. I think we're so much more emotional than most men. Right. I think they deal with it or handle it or brush it off.
Yeah, or they get vindictive. I feel like
or they deflect.
You,
and
like they did nothing wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like
if you had done this or if you had done that, and I'm like, well, if
you didn't cook enough, you didn't clean enough.
Did you tell me?
You didn't move to the left to
right.
When we was having sex the other day or something.
And how are you supposed to know you're not doing if somebody doesn't tell you, right?
Yeah.
Communication.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was a hot mess. And then when it happened to me the second time, I kind of saw it coming, but it didn't, you know, it hurt, but it wasn't as bad as the first one. You know, I was so much older. Yeah, now, God forbid it was happening. I'll be like, what happened? Okay, yeah. Goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Now
we're much older now.
Right? Exactly. Oh, yeah.
That's what we just were talking about. That's just
we evolve, you know.
Oh my God.
We're just at a different level.
Yeah.
We're not 20 years, you know?
Girl.
And that 20 years, some of them have going on. They got it straight too.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
absolutely.
we can't even say really that either. Because I know some that are like on the money. I can't really say 20 years. But for me, when you're young.
You know, those.
Yeah, when I was young.
No offense, you guys.
But for me, when you're young.
You know, those.
Yeah, when I was young.
No offense, you guys.
Yes.
Break from the infidelity because I know it's a very deep subject, right? I ordered the girls salsa fresca and it came like an hour and a half early. So hopefully, like when they start eating their tacos,
it'll be still well. It'll be still good.
So that's, I mean, they look
used
delicious.
to be hard taco, now soft. No.
That's right.
At least we won't crunch in the microphone.
I have a delayed response to that. Let's see, anybody asking any questions? Hold on, what's going on here? Hi everybody, I'm sorry. I have my back to you guys, but I just kind of wanted to go live and just go right into the discussion. I know it's a very heavy discussion. They're not all this heavy.
Are there questions up there?
Communication is Jennifer, communication is key. Yeah, real friendships motivate you to do better things for yourself. Love you, Jess. Oh, I love you too. A higher motivator for yourself to do better and bigger encouragement. No drama. Hey ladies, deaf messes with your mental. Yeah. No, not too many questions. You guys can ask questions if I don't know over here. Oh, there might be some questions here, but I can't really see. This is kind of hard.
It looks like we're not alone, right?
Exactly, we're not alone, so that's good. I usually have somebody here that takes care of like all of this stuff, but they couldn't make it today. So for the next show, we'll have like somebody a little bit more, you know. My assistante. Yeah. So yeah, I wish more girls, women, you know, people would talk about like their, you know, stuff that they've gone through, like how they were feeling at that time. Because oh my God, I always tell people when I talk about like that time in my life when Sharon used to come, see me. My best friend, I love him to death, right? He would come. I lived about like 6 minutes from him, but it was like 20 minutes walking, right? And I lived all the way on top in the apartment, on the fourth floor, right? He would come to visit me. I would open the door and days would be fine. He would come in and we would chit chat and watch his movie. I smoked a lot of weed back then. Smoke and just chill and drink or whatever. And then there's days that he would come and he would open the door and he would see me and he'd be like, "Not today, bitch." And he would walk right back out. And he would leave. He's like, "I'll call," and I'll be like, "Okay." And then like literally, that's how like traumatic it was.
Yeah, because it is like a death, like you said.
Yeah.
It's like you're losing that person anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it is like a death. And the hurt is hard shit to swallow.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then like all the questions too, like, well, what could I have done to maybe for this not to happen, or what, you try to pinpoint an exact moment in time where that right there, I would have switched that right there, or this date, maybe if I would have said this, because I was always thinking that, like replaying everything over. That's what really, like with Jennifer, with the mental, that's what really messes with your mental.
Oh yeah.
When you're like replaying things over and over and over, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
How we do it.
It's hard for me to have a thing because I'm so caught up for so long.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to. Yeah, it's hard for me to. Because when I experienced something like that, I was young. I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're still like a baby.
Yeah, and I was totally heartbroken. I was like, oh my god,
you're never gonna love again.
But I was the one who cheated, and I still was like,
oh my god,
why? Why was I left? Because you can't get it too, right? Right? But I was young. But I was when it finalized, I was like, oh shoot, that's it.
Yeah.
Bye. But I was young, so it's easy to bounce.
Could you? Okay, so now we'll go into the next segment of this conversation with the cheating. For me, I tried to salvage it, right, as best as I could. What's your take on how did you try like multiple times to make it work, or did you walk away right away when it happened? Like, because I wasn't one of those people that, there's some people that are very strong. They're like, oh what, no, I'm out of here, and never they can walk away and never see the person again
because it's unresolved.
Yeah.
Right. So you were like, why? So I feel like a lot of people are like, why did you do this? Like, so I feel like you're always connected for a little bit after because you. Either yelling at each other or you're trying to make up and they're like like it's a game like back and forth for a while until finally somebody either you're gonna be like, I can't no more, this is enough, or they're really like, I'm done, I'm walking out or whatever. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody just like bye.
No, there's different stages to it. So I would say that first stage was, what did I do wrong? Why did this person do this to me? Right? Why am I not good enough? And then after I had some time to reflect, I'm like, but wait a minute. I do this, and that.
So that's not it.
No. So what is the real problem here? What am I not now bringing to the table that I've always brought? So then the third stage was, why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and did that person take accountability? And yes, I try to salvage it as best as possible. And then the person took accountability, but I don't think genuine accountability. More towards like, I want to move past this, so I'm just gonna say I fucked up. My last curse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're not right about it. FCC. Absolutely.
Okay. I messed up. I want to work this out, right, from the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you're never the same.
No.
I don't think, old relationships, new relationships, I think the wall is still partially there.
Mm-hmm.
You're always on the lookout. You're always looking for those cues,
Yeah.
So you're never the same.
No.
Your guard is not let down. So to love somebody is even harder.
That's a big point. And we're going to take a break and we're going to go off live because y'all can't see this all the time. Y'all going to download and y'all got to listen to the app, okay? And we're going to go back to that subject of how it changes you as a person and the things that you would have changed. Okay? Bye, people. We ending the live. We'll be back. Ugh, I can't reach.